quick. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to go through coordinate planes, the very first day of the graphing unit, and a lot of vocab, but it should be a lot easier than equations. Equations are going to be nice, long questions. These are going to be short, simple questions. The hardest thing you have to do today is either remember a word or count to 7. That's as hard as it gets today, all right? It's remembering and remembering vocabulary, and it's counting. That's all it is, okay? A coordinate plane, right? Don't overthink of this. Don't overthink this. I feel like I've said the wrong word a couple times here. This is just a big grid, right? This coordinate plane is just a big grid with X and Y axis. Now, there's a lot more, picky ways to say this, very, very mathy ways, but here we go. The very first day of the unit, a very good thing to write with me, right? We are 7 words in so far, and 2 of them are just single letters. So hopefully your paper looks just like mine. So if you're looking at this picture, this is a coordinate plane. I'm sure you've seen it before. We're going to talk about 4 different pieces, and we're going to start with the x-axis. So if we're talking about the x-axis, does anybody know what the x-axis is?
Yeah.
What is it?
That's the thing that goes like left to right.
Okay, I'm hearing it. That's correct. The x-axis is this thing, and you're correct. It is the thing that goes left and right. Pencils over there. Grab it. You might sharpen yourself. Let's label that x-axis. And when we label that as the x-axis, I'm also going to put a little bit more over here. We got all kinds of noises going on. The x-axis, and I'm going to put an arrow underneath it that goes side to side like this. And I'm going to put one more word next to x-axis. I'm going to put the word horizontal. All right, so the x-axis goes left and right, and this word horizontal here is a vocab word. You probably heard it before. You may have heard it before, and it just means that it goes left to right. It's a lot like the horizon. If you've ever seen the horizon, you're on the beach, and you look out at the sunset and you see the waves, that's the horizon, and it goes across, right? You look across at the sunset. So the horizon, horizontal, x-axis, it's all related. Then we're going to talk about the y-axis next, which we should be getting this correct every time. If we know the x-axis, then we should be able to get the y-axis, right? It is the line that goes up and down. I'll just embolden that a little bit with my pen here. I'll just make these a little bit darker so they're a little easier to see. There we go. This one that goes up and down is the y-axis. You got a pencil? Write this down. Okay? And the y-axis, I'm going to put a line that goes up and down with some arrows on it. And would you say that the opposite of horizontal, anybody know that word? Vertical. Nice job. Vertical, right? I always think of vertical because back in my day, Tony Hawk was a cool guy. I know I'm an old guy now. Does anybody know who Tony Hawk is?
I know who Tony Hawk is.
Skateboarder, right? He used to do vert ramps, which is a skateboard ramp that goes straight up in the air. And that's how I remember vertical, because the vert ramp, he literally, crazy guy, shoots straight up in the air on a vert ramp. So that's how I remember it. I know I'm kind of a little old school, but that's how I remember it. Now we got 2 more. We've got origin and quadrants. Has anybody heard of either of these before?
Yeah.
Nice job. Nice job. The origin. Remember, the origin of something is where it begins, right? People say that, oh, the universe, the origin of the universe is the Big Bang. Or we could say that, humans originate, their origin is in Africa or things like that, right? It's where you begin. The origin And we'll talk about coordinates and ordered pairs coming up next, are 0, 0. So if I'm going to draw a little circle around my origin here, I'm going to draw an arrow that points to it, and then I'm going to write origin, which is basically the middle, right? I mean, don't overcomplicate this. Origin just means the middle. And the last one is quadrants, and quadrants is the 4 spaces we haven't talked about yet, right? So we've talked about the yellow, the orange, and the origin, but we have not talked about all of this.
Oh, those are the quadrants.
These are the quadrants, right? So there's 4 quadrants, and there's 2 things that are weird about quadrants, all right? Right, 4 quadrants, it's the 4 corners, that's not very hard. The first thing that's weird about quadrants is that you have to label them with Roman numerals. Roman numerals. Has anyone ever heard of Roman numerals before?
Yeah.
Okay, Roman numerals use the letter capital I and then some other letters like capital V, capital X. If you've ever seen the Super Bowl likes Roman numerals, right? The Super Bowl might say LV, I, or something like that. And that just means 55, 111, and that's how they get 58. I'm not even sure. You're right, I don't have any idea what Super Bowl this year is. The good news is all we need to do is count to 4. When you count with Roman numerals to 4, the first one is an I. Excellent. What is the second Roman numeral? How do you say 2? That's right, I. How do you say 3? I. You sound like a couple of pirates in class. And why do you say 4? I-V. The I has to come first. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? You know, if I just label these really easily, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you are labeling quadrants, you have to use capital I, 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 capital V. So, the second thing that is weird about quadrants is the order that they're in. All right? It is counterclockwise, but the way I'm going to do it is by drawing the letter C. Everybody see this C here? So, if you put your pencil down and you draw a C, that is the order of the quadrants. So when you put your pencil down, it goes in the top right. That is quadrant 1. And then you draw the C. What's up next? Quadrant 2. After quadrant 2, quadrant 3. And after quadrant 3, how do you write a 4 in Roman numerals? IV. All right, all of these things are vocab words. These are questions that take you 10 seconds, or you get them wrong because you don't know what origin means, okay? So let's do it really quick. Check it out, blank sheet, going quickly. What do you call this box?
Quadrant 3.
Quadrant 3. What do you call this box?
Quadrant 1.
Quadrant 1. What do you call this line that goes across the middle?
X-axis.
That's the x-axis. What about this one that goes up and down? Y-axis. What do you call this one here?
Quadrant 4.
Quadrant 4. What about this one here? Quadrant 2. And what do you call the very, very middle? Right in the middle is the origin. All right, we got it? Sweet. We're going back. We're moving on. Now, ordered pairs. Honestly, this is where the difficulty comes from today, although you've been doing this since middle school. The hardest part of this is counting to 7. So we can do this. Ordered pairs are coordinates. You might hear them called coordinates. You might hear them called ordered pairs, which is basically, because I kind of leaked into this top one, so you can write it in the top if you want, or basically just location on the graph, all right? This is what a ordered pair is. Again, you can be more picky and math teachery But an ordered pair is a location on the graph, all right? Now, if I wanted to talk very specifically about the letter A, I can't just say quadrant 2. Even though A is in quadrant 2, I want to be very specific, all right? So ordered pairs are very picky, right? Ordered pairs have to be perfect or else you get them wrong. That's why this is probably the hardest thing today, because if you get any part of it wrong, it's wrong. Now, here is probably the most important thing to write on your notes, okay? I'm going to make a nice little highlighter box here. All right, to start, I'm going to do parentheses with a comma and parentheses, all right? Again, like I said, this is probably the most important thing. I'll even put a little star here, so it's extra, extra important. Now, coordinates have an x direction and a y direction. Which one goes in the first gap, the x or the y? Of course, x comes before y, x, and then y. And here is what I really, really recommend that you draw. Underneath the x, not across the whole thing, just on the x side, I'm going to draw an arrow that goes two sides, because what does the x do? The x is the left and right. And here it is. This is what I'm talking about. Put a plus on the right side and put a minus on the left side. This is what you will get wrong if you're not careful. So write that down. What does the y do? The y takes you up and down like an elevator. Which one is positive, up or down? Up. Going up is positive, going down is negative. Okay, write down the positives and negatives, I'm telling you. All right, we're going to do 3 quick questions, then we're done with the notes, then we're done with the recording. Here we go. First, I need to be very specific here. When we're talking about point A, and I see that we have this point A over here, are we talking about the black dot or the letter A?
Black dot.
We're talking about the black dot, right? We're talking about this dot right here. I don't care about the A. I only care about the black dot. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my parentheses with a comma in there. And I think the quadrant's probably the easiest part here. What quadrant is A in?
2.
Right, remember, draw your C. And when I draw my C, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I-V. Easy. Quadrant 2. You got a question? Gotcha. Yes. You cannot, if it ever says quadrant, never under any circumstances use a normal Arabic number. Always use, yes. All the numbers we use are called Arabic numerals. Don't be scared, right? Oh, Arabic, oh my God, we're learning Arabic numerals.
That's what I meant by that.
Okay, A. Here we go. I need a little bit of focus. We're starting to get a little distracted. A. First of all, maybe the most important thing I say all day. When we are counting to find our locations, where do we start?
Origin.
Yes. Start. Oh, I forgot my R. There we go. Start at origin. Start at the origin. Okay? When you start counting, start from the middle. Okay, if I'm starting at the origin, here we go. The first direction that I want to move is left and right, all right? Think about it like this. You're in a fancy hotel. You're going to try to walk to the elevator and then ride the elevator, okay? So if we're going to try to get to A, I want to walk to the elevator and then ride the elevator. So, how much do I have to walk to get to the elevator? Start in the middle and then count all of the boxes. I'm at origin, which is 0. Now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3.
Whoa.
And when I count to 3, now my person is directly underneath the A. I had to count 3 in the X direction. The 3 has to go in the first gap. If the 3 is in the second gap, it is wrong. Second piece, this 3, is it supposed to be a positive 3 or a negative 3? Because I went in the left direction, it has to be a negative 3. Now, if you get the first number right, you almost always get the second number right. The first number is the one that people mess up, so take your time on the first number. Now that I'm underneath the A, what floor do I need to ride to, right? I need to press 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to go up to the 4th floor. And let's think about the sign. Is that a positive 4 or a negative 4?
It's a positive.
Up is a positive. Now, when you are writing ordered pairs, never write a plus, okay? A positive 4 is just a plain old 4. Okay, let's speed it up a little bit. We took our time on A. Let's do B a little bit faster. I'm going to put parentheses, comma, parentheses. I'm going to try to find B, and I see it down here. Sweet. And which quadrant would you say that B is in? Nice job. IV is how we're going to write that. Now, if we're looking at B, first I need to walk to the elevators. So, how much do I need to walk side to side? I'm at the middle. Start at the origin. I'm starting at the origin, and I'm going to walk. Anybody got the number? 2. 1, 2. I walked 2 steps to the right, and now I am on top of B. I'm going to put a 2 in the first spot, and is that going to be a positive 2 or a negative 2? This is going to be a positive 2, because when you move to the right, you move in the positive direction. Now, I'm at the right place. If you get the first number right, you almost always get the second number right. What number do I have to press in the elevator? -1, -2, -3. I got to go down, so I have to go down. Negative, -3. Let's make sure to silence our phones. Not a big deal. Just accidentally left it open. No big deal, guys. We don't need 100 reactions to the same thing. It's okay. Now C. Letter C. This is one we're going to put a star next to. This is the last one we're going to do together. And this question in first period had a 40% incorrect percentage. All right? So, pay attention to this. C. Can you find the C? All right. When we're finding C, are we talking about the letter C or the dot for C? The dot. So we're talking about this dot here. Now, if we're talking about quadrants, do we think that C is in the first, the second, the third, or the fourth quadrant? No. If you look up here, right, is C in this one squiggly box, or 2, or 3, or 4? No. Where is C? C is not on the origin. C is on the y-axis. So we're going to write y-axis because that's where it is. All right, I need us to kind of cut the conversation for literally 2 more numbers that we need to write down. That's it, okay? C, I put this star on it. This was a very missed question earlier today. If I start at the origin and my little person is right here, how much do they have to walk left or right? If I'm starting right here and I'm trying to ride the elevator up to C, I do not have to walk left or right any. So I have 0 to walk. I don't want to walk left. I don't want to walk right. I just want to stay where I am. Okay? 0 is your don't do anything number, right? If you don't walk left or right, put a 0. If you don't go up or down, put a 0. Now, what number is our y coordinate? Positive 2, because we went 1, 2. We rode up to the 2nd floor, and we're in the y-axis. All right, one last time. Quick challenge. What do you call this thing that goes across the middle? Is it the x or the y? X. Nice job. What do you call this quadrant?
Quadrant 2.
Quadrant 2. What do you call this in the middle?
Origin.
That's the origin. I'm not going to write it. What do you call this?
Quadrant 1.
Quadrant 1. What do you call this?
Y-axis.
The y-axis. What do you call this?
Quadrant 4.
Quadrant 4. What do you call this?
Quadrant 3.
What do you call this? The coordinate plane. Gotcha. Threw you off a little bit. All right. Easy peasy. We're done.